pod bay doors, please, pal.
All right.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
Look at the coast. We get together, have a few laughs.
A Movie Odyssey with Brad Patel and Gus Trout.
I found a bunch of really nice condition, like Sin City comics. Frank Miller.
Really? Where at?
At Buttons and Bows, but not like. Have you been down there in Cambridge Springs? It's a really cool thrift store.
I think I've been in there once.
Yeah, they have a furniture store, and the furniture store had the comics. It just
really,
like, yeah. And I was like, "How much are these?" And he's like, $1.50, and I was like, "Okay."
Wow, you didn't know what he had there.
Yeah, they're not like they're paperback. They're like, it's not like the collection. It's like one of four, and it was just cool. It's not like I don't even care about the fucking story. I just care about the art. So
they have comics there.
Yeah, but it's just random. He just has one comic stand.
Just and whatever
I just sort of like looked through it real quick and found a bunch of Sin City stuff, and I said, "All right."
Nice. Well, I now have to go down there.
Yeah, it's a cool place. Well, let's get into it. I'm excited to talk about this one.
All right, gang. Hey, gang. Brad Patello here. I'm joined by my good friend Gus Trout. We got a piece of what I think is fan mail. What do you think? Is this?
Am I like, I know a few nicks, but like that, like the email doesn't, like the name in the email doesn't necessarily. I don't know who this person is.
Yeah, we got an email from somebody called Nick Paticcio, I think is how you say it. I don't know. Recommending a movie called The Beast of War from 1988, which neither of us have ever heard of. Right.
Basically we're saying shout outs to Nick. Thanks for getting a hold of us. We will and should get an actual official email.
Well, that was going to bring me to my next point, is that we're going to make an email so people can email kind of the podcast.
You can email us with your what you want us to talk about, or
definitely reach out, recommend movies for sure.
You can email and tell us how stupid we are.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks for reaching out, Nick. And I'm definitely going to check this movie out.
Send you some t-shirts when we get them.
We got to have some t-shirts. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I'd get a t-shirt. Wear my face on a t-shirt. Would that be weird?
There should be a Gus and a Brad t-shirt, like individual ones with our face.
What about just like white with black, Team Gus or Team Brad?
I like that.
Like
I like that until yours start selling better than mine. and then I hate that idea.
We have a friendly competition. The other thing to note is that we're currently about 2 weeks behind on the edit. So which I don't know, we might turn around quicker once we start watching newer movies, but I don't know. The turnaround is very comfortable for me because I can just sort of lackadaisically edit, and not have to, like, if we do like a new movie that's in the theater, I'll try to get it out quicker, like turn it around in a week or something. But well, anyway, today we are looking at Sunshine from 2007, directed by Danny Boyle.
We don't usually bring up writers, but I think we should bring up Alex Garland.
Yeah, I was just reading an article. Well, go ahead and talk about that.
So this is Alex and Danny's third team up. So the first is The Beach, which I believe is Alex wrote that book. Alex Garland wrote The Beach, and he probably helped to adapt the screenplay. And then he wrote 28 Days Later, which is a great low budget zombie infection movie. But always it's such a polished look. Danny's really good at like making the best of making a unique thing, a unique look for each of his movies, and feel that's sort of fresh and new. And
Yeah, I was noticing that in this movie has a very unique visual style that would be copied a lot. It seems like in the 2010s.
yes, this is sort of like yeah, it's a like a landmark film.
Yes, in terms of how it's visually told, like a lot
And
of.
even part of the score is reused all the time in trailers and stuff.
I love the score.
The score is so good. It has that kind of, I think we've talked about this before in other movies, but it sort of almost never stops. And it has great where at the end of a scene leading into the next scene, it'll start, building up in the previous scene before it goes in. It's just fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of goes along with how the film is put together, I guess, or edited, where you're cutting back and forth between different bits of action and different storylines. I noticed it a lot in Act 3, where you have, three kind of stories that are taking place on different parts of the ship.
For the most part, it does have a really good sense of location, like the geography. You like know where you're at. And
Yeah,
it's really good at establishing all of these locations early on, like the coolant, like I don't know what was it, like the motherboards or whatever.
and the oxygen farm.
Man, Chris Evans really gets the shit fucking kicked out of him in this movie, huh?
Chris Evans is he's the character that's the most grounded, though.
He's
Like,
the all-star of this
yeah,
movie.
he's the one with the most sense about him.
Well, I just remember thinking this is the first movie where I was like, oh shit, Chris Evans, you're fucking awesome. Because he was in like another teen movie or something.
Yeah,
And
that's right.
he was in the Fantastic Four movies, which I never even watched. They looked horrible. So I just kind of wrote him off as that guy that I don't like. But man, is he good. And I think he really nails it in this movie for sure.
I was trying to think of the timeline there of his career. So this was kind of a dramatic breakthrough for him as an actor, right?
Yeah, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure at least for me, this is the first movie where I was like, I took note. Well, how about we get into the plot of this son of a bitch?
Yes. So we come into a mission to restart the sun. We're 16 months into
Mission
the
2.
second attempt. The sun is dying. It's 2057. And the sun has dimmed to the point where Earth is basically frozen and can't support life anymore. So the human race has collected all of its explosive material that they could mine, put it into a bomb, and they're pushing it to the sun to try to restart it. Now, the science so the science advisor was a guy called Brian Cox, no relation to the guy from X-Men 2.
Oh yeah, I know that guy.
He's like
He's a cool guy.
particle physicist at CERN. He was the science advisor on this film, and I'm trying to get a sense of a couple of the interviews I've read with him kind of give me the impression that he did it to kind of annoy other scientists. Like the conceit. Well, this is 50 years in the future, and the sun is kind of almost dead at this point, which
Dying
is
star.
5 billion years too early. But his theory is that there are particles called cue balls, which would have been created in the Big Bang and would be drifting around. If they drifted into the heart of a star, and if they were more stable than the matter the star is made of, they could start eating the star from the inside out. But then he goes on to say that's pretty near impossible.
Yeah.
So there's definitely a sense of kind of suspending disbelief for a minute.
Well, I would say as a layman towards this science bullshit, No, I science all the way. I like how it's handled. Like, all right, like I'm in. Like the sun's dying, they're gonna put a bomb into it. Like, hell yeah, let's go. Because how everything else is handled in a very like logical based way, everything is taken logically for the most part. There is emotions obviously come into play, but I just think that's one of the things I like about this movie is how they handle decision making.
Well, it's like once you do that, once you get over that hurdle, it is a fun ride. Uh,
I think there's great
and
concepts with the spacecraft that they're in is made of thousands of mirrors reflecting back, so they can get that close.
right, because they're
Which is,
flying into the sun
yeah,
essentially.
it's super cool. The whole intro, I wrote it down. Yeah, first 2 minutes is so clever with where the Fox searchlight, right? That's
Oh, I
the
noticed
logo.
that. Yeah.
They start panning around and then you get to the sun and then everything fades away, but it's actually not the sun, it's the ship coming, because the ship's this round. If you were to see it straight on, it would just look like a round object. Oh, and really it's sort of like a really skinny mushroom stem. I think that's such a fun, it sets the tone for the movie immediately.
They never explain it though. They just say, "This is what's happening. Here we go." Like,
Well, that what
and
needs to be explained. How's that not explaining it? They are literally explaining the plot of the movie in the first 2 minutes.
well, that's what I mean. They don't like dwell on it. They just jump right in.
Yeah. Oh, I like that.
And yeah, we come into a point of the mission where like the first story beat essentially is they're about to leave. They can't transmit to Earth anymore.
Because of
Like
science.
because science. They're going to be too far away from Earth. They're approaching a point where they will no longer be able to communicate to Earth. Like Cillian Murphy plays Kappa, kind of the lead character who's the physicist.
Great
Who's
cast.
Yeah. Oh yeah, great cast. There's 8 crew members.
All are like the top in their field: communications, pilots, bio,
The crew has a very
physicist.
it has a very international feel. Mace is the engineer. Benedict Wong is in it as Trey. Cliff Curtis plays Cyril, the psychologist, who's the craziest one.
I love him. I think I kind of want to talk about him a little bit
Okay.
because he he's one of the first characters we see because he's in the observation deck.
Yeah, that's kind
And
of the intro to the ship. Really, isn't that
yeah,
kind of just the first thing we see inside
yeah,
the ship?
it sets up Icarus like the mother AI system, which is really cool how that plays off.
Yeah. So the ship's
Like
called
how they talk to her.
Yeah, the ship's called Icarus, which obviously you get that reference.
Right. So good.
Well, the ship is like a yeah, you said it looks like a giant mushroom. They got the big bombs, like they're pushing it. So there's a big sort of half dome thing
Made
that's
out of mirrors.
covered with reflectors to reflect the sun, and then a huge bomb the size of Manhattan, and then the ship itself that's pushing it is a series of kind of pods, I guess, that extend, and it is really cool looking. So
Yeah, the from my understanding, they had a really low budget for this movie, especially
yeah,
when it came to the CG. And the CG is it stands up. It's incredible.
well, I didn't even really notice it. I mean
Exactly.
the ship.
But just the sun, and I mean, a ton of this stuff is relying on these insane sweeping camera moves that are moving like, it might be a 2-second shot and it's moving like hundreds of feet, miles across space.
Yeah, it's not visually it looks great for, for 2007 CG.
Yeah,
You don't even know it's there. You don't. Um,
you're not questioning it
it's
ever.
not distracting. It doesn't like show itself ever.
Right, and like we were talking about, it's shot in a way that people are still. It's so cool. They're still stealing from what this movie. A lot of movies look like this.
Yeah, uh, I feel like J.J. Abrams watched this and was like, I want to do that, and then he made Star Trek. Like,
Oh, totally. Yeah, the like kinetic energy of the filmmaking.
yeah, and just sort of the double exposed shots, like in Act 3 when they're fighting with Pindecker. There's like anytime he's on the screen, it's like this double exposure and this weird focus thing going on, and
Yeah,
almost like his presence is disrupting the camera. Or
yeah. It's a really cool concept.
they're
It's
so
basically
close
the
to the
coolest
sun.
way you could have handled him.
Well, we never get a good look at him.
Right,
I mean,
exactly, which gives it like a mysterious sort of you know, you don't fully. It leaves it up to the imagination to fill in the gaps.
so in the third act. Well, all right.
Well, like
Said
we
weren't
can't.
going to jump ahead. All right.
We
Yeah. Okay. So talking about
so let's
the filmmaking,
basically the first hurdle.
it starts off like the filmmaking gets more as they get closer to the sun. The filmmaking gets more kinetic, and there's more lens flares. There's more like trick photography, and there's just more energy to the
More
whole.
panic, yeah.
Yeah. Almost.
This
Well,
movie is basically one giant panic attack.
there's like a countdown clock, that's established pretty early on. Yeah, I mean the filmmaking reflects just sort of the character's state of mind and the state of mind of the story.
There's a lot of nice visual symmetry going on with the iris and the pupil
Mm-hmm.
compared to like that visual, how that looks and how the sun looks. There's a lot of very close-ups of the eye. Right. And the whole concept that like we're all stardust, we're all made of the same thing, so that the star and us are one.
Oh, look at you getting deep.
Oh shit. The student has become the master.
We're all just dust in the wind, man. So yeah, we meet the crew. I wrote down yellow. That first scene is drenched entirely in yellow. But when
well, yeah, let's talk about that scene. I love that concept of that room and how he's like, what am I viewing this at? You're watching it through like 2% brightness, of full capacity brightness. And he's like, oh, well, turn it up to 4. And he's like, the computer's like, that would blind you immediately. And well, what's the closest I can get to? I like, again, just how they're thinking. And that whole scene is the setup to why Icarus 1 lost. They get like blinded by the light, is simply
wrapped up like a douche.
but it's what's the psychologist's name? Searle. Yeah,
there's like an observation
he's basically coming out of that observation deck being like, guys, you have to check this out. Like turning the light up really high, it's like a meditative experience.
He gets more and more burned as the
right. Yeah, he starts getting like horrible sunburn
as the film goes on. He just starts getting blisters all over his face.
But this is maybe, I've seen this movie a lot of times. This might be my 5th or 6th time watching this movie. Do you think that Searle is sort of the prelude to what he has his shit together, but he's also kind of like getting swept away by the energy and aura of the sun? Do you think he would eventually have become what Icarus 1's captain became?
Yeah, I think that's what we're led to believe, right? Like something about the radiation from the sun makes people crazy, and that's why the first mission failed. It's just,
they got like obsessed.
Yeah, and they committed some kind of ritual suicide where they just all went into the observation deck and turned the sun on and burned to death, except for Pindecker, who.
Well, I like that you don't necessarily. He is. Again, we're skipping ahead, but he is a character that is mysterious. Because so he's sticking around to make sure, like, he knows that Earth had, Icarus 2 in the back pocket, and he's sticking around just long enough, surviving, to stop to thwart their all attempts, and for us all to die.
Yeah, it's
all while
pretty dark.
Going into the observation room and getting complete, because he's like head to toe burnt.
Oh yeah, his skin's peeling off.
But God damn it, Brad, we're skipping so far ahead.
There is kind of, I wanted to mention, I don't know how
it's a hard left turn when you get to that point.
That's like the Act 3 reveal.
Right. Well, that's like most critics, that's their biggest complaint about this movie, is that it falls into just turns into a slasher.
I read that criticism a lot. Yeah. Act 3 does play, well, in Act 3, you follow 3 different plots, and one of them does play like a horror film where Rose Byrne's character is being stalked.
Well, they all are. I mean,
yeah, but there's the 2 of them kind of have this cat
Kappa
mouse
gets stuck into
scene.
in the escape hatch.
Yeah, and Mace is trying to fix the coolant, and but there is from the very beginning, there is a sense of fatalism almost, to where we, the audience, very early in the movie understand that these characters are not going to survive. And the question just becomes, will their mission succeed?
Right. And
they understand that very early too. So once you are, I guess, relieved of that emotional burden of caring for the character's safety, I think watching it is a different experience, because it becomes sort of like Mace's character. You have to strip the emotion away and just, what is the most logical thing to do?
Because it's not about them, it's about the human race. It's there's something so much bigger than them.
If they don't succeed, the human race will die. There is no more material left on Earth to make another bomb. So this is it. It's corny to say, but they're humanity's last hope.
Yeah. I just think that it sticks. I mean, this movie sticks to landing. I say that all the time, but this isn't an easy thing to pull off. Okay, you're handed this movie, maybe you can argue about the slasher part of the movie not being that good, but how the actual filmmaking of the movie and how the actual final cut of this movie, it's so good. The music, the visuals, everything, acting, direction, it all comes together in a nice tight package.
There's elements of horror to a lot of science fiction because space is fucking scary,
Right.
Anything can happen. There's so many variables, so many unknowns. When they're trying to run the simulation and the computer just shuts down and says, we don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah,
there's too many variables. We can't predict at this point forward. I wrote down 18 minutes in. Oh, okay. Chill pacing. All right. These are my notes for Act 1. Yeah. We're going chronologically.
We're trying to go chronologically.
First scene, yellow. We meet the crew. Everything becomes very blue. So whenever we're in the observation deck, everything's very yellow. Whenever we're in the ship that's behind the stem of the mushroom, everything looks very blue. There's the colors, lots of yellow, blue, and green. Those are the 3 primary colors used throughout the film, and pretty much nothing else. 18 minutes in, distress call from Icarus 1. So that's kind of the first plot point of the film. They get close to Mercury, and suddenly they start picking up a distress call from the first ship.
Right. So basically they hear this signal, they figure out that it's Icarus 1, and then they debate over what's the best idea, and they decide, like, basically, well, two bombs are better than one.
That's the ultimate decision.
Because like you said, in that simulation that Cap was running, you don't know if the bomb's gonna.
That's true. Kappa's not really sure it's going to work. He's the guy who, Cillian Murphy's character Kappa is like the person who built the bomb, and now he's going to deploy it because he knows the most about it. And he's not sure. Even he's not sure it's going to work. Everything's theoretical.
Yeah.
Mace, Chris Evans's character, Mace argues against it. They should go forward and not vary the plan. Of course,
Which
he ends up
he
being
should
right.
have done. Yeah. And on this, when they,
but Kappa has to make the decision. They put the decision on Kappa because he's the main scientist.
Right.
And he says, well, we should go grab the other bomb. So they change course.
But to change course is a very important plot point here.
Yeah, that's where everything starts going wrong.
But in order to change the course, the navigator guy, who's great, he's been in a lot of stuff, but
Benedict Wong.
Yeah, Benedict Wong. He's in Avengers.
Yes,
and
he is.
Doctor Strange.
I was going to note a lot of actors that ended up being in superhero movies. After this.
They're all great actors. Michelle
Yeoh's in it. Rose Byrne doing the best American accent she can muster.
She's doing good.
Yeah, there's a couple moments where her Australianness.
I gotta shout out Michelle Yeoh for like Super Cop 2. Jackie Chan. She drives a fucking. I'm pretty sure it's her, unless she has a stunt double.
No, it's her.
Where she drives a motorcycle.
Maybe she has a stunt.
Because I knew that was her. She was like the female Jackie Chan, right?
Yeah, she did a lot of her own stunts in that movie. I think I don't know about that one, but
yeah,
she's kick ass. Yeah, she did a lot of she was like an action star.
Oh yeah, and just her performance in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon is phenomenal as well. Anyways, so he has to basically manually put in the locations, and then he forgets to reset the reflecting mirrors, which then causes a chain reaction. So once they get at a certain angle, the ship starts freaking out, and they have to then manually get in spacesuits and go out and fix each of the broken shields that won't go back down. Which that's the first big
that part is terrifying.
Yeah.
There's a lot of terrifying moments in this. They have to go around to the other side of the bomb, basically, and because there is
a nice sense too that throughout the entire movie, you get the feeling, even though they might not be straight up showing it. I like how stoic Kaneda is. We're not burned up yet. Everything's okay. Keep your head on your shoulders. Now what? Now what do we do? You know what I mean?
He dies in this scene.
he
fixes
heroic.
He fixes
There's nothing
the last.
He can do. Yeah.
Fixes the last reflector just as Kappa gets around the corner.
There's a shot that is pushing in on Kaneda, and all of the sun is hitting all the reflectors, so it's lighting up, and it's getting closer and closer to Kaneda.
Yeah, that's a great shot.
They just have this cool kind of camera jiggle they do a lot, but that's what J.J. Abrams stole most.
Oh yeah, and the lens flares.
Yeah,
it makes sense to have lens flares in this film, by the way, because you're flying into the sun.
Yeah, yeah.
In Star Trek 2009, probably went a little overboard with that.
And how well does the music reflect the?
I wrote down
the tension.
Yeah, I wrote down spacewalk repair scene. Great tense music, lots of close-ups inside the ship. Very claustrophobic.
and inside their helmets. And I
Yeah.
love the spacesuits.
Yeah.
They're like clunky and like I wrote down that the tech is all very, for being future tech, it's very grounded in in what seems to be would actually be in 2051 what it would actually look like. It's not like they have holograms, it's not like Iron Man shit.
Yeah, they did homework. They had this science advisor. They consulted with NASA.
Yeah, I wrote down grounded, well-designed future tech.
It's near future. It doesn't feel like, I don't know, like Star Trek is far future. It's like,
Oh, can we jump back real quick?
sure.
Um, I love that Mercury scene. We kind of talked about it earlier. I don't know if it'll end up.
Yeah, that's in Act
Intro.
1. I mean, all of Act 1, very peaceful, very lethargic. I wrote down chill pace.
Yeah, even the music is like light.
Yeah, so
and
Act 1's
relaxing.
very kind of relaxing and peaceful.
But Mercury's is about to pass in front of them, and I don't know if it's Kaneda or somebody calls them, like, everybody to the observation viewing deck or whatever, and it's just this beautifully shot moment
Mm,
with that little black ball passing in front of them,
yeah, it's
and they're
great.
all like, they're all space nerds, so they think it's the coolest thing ever. And
It looks cool though. You're watching it in a movie.
Oh,
and
it
you're like,
looks
that looks
awesome.
really cool.
Yeah.
Like
Like,
looking
it's
at an eclipse.
it's so simple, but it's so fucking cool. Again, it's that shaky cam, and it's like the shot composition, and it's just beautiful. Yeah, love that scene.
Yeah.
All right, so Kaneda gets completely.
Well, yeah, Act 2, things start to go really wrong.
I love too the moment where Cyril is like, he's trying to have this, like, he knows Kaneda's gonna die, and he's saying, "What do you see? What do you see?" He's so immersed into this like almost new religion of the sun. Like he wants to know what Kaneda's last moments are like.
Yeah. There's lots of hints about that, about Cyril being the new Pindecker, basically. He's taken by this energy.
But he ultimately ends up being a great guy. Like he sacrifices himself, and he knows.
Did you notice that all the deaths are foreshadowed?
No. And tell me.
Well, the most obvious ones are Mace, where like there's that scene where he drops his early on the film where he drops his wrench into the water and he's got to get it.
He's doing some mechanics, yeah.
And then he gets frostbite when they have to like jump to the other ship. He has like his hand is burned from the cold.
Scene, holy shit.
That scene is terrifying too.
Yeah. This whole movie is absolutely terrifying because they play it in a grounded sense where you can feel like there's logic and decision making that's sound, but you can also, and then there's like a professionalism to it, but there's also the humanity of like, I am fucking terrified. Like they have the same dream about falling. They're like falling in the middle of the sun.
Yeah. So Act 2 is all about like they rendezvous with the other ship. They go on board. They try to figure out what happened. 4 of them go on board.
Well, they have to change. Not only does a couple things happen beyond Kaneda dying, the captain dies. Now, to make the safe, to make it as safe as possible for them to get on the front of the ship to fix those reflectors, they have to angle the ship in a certain way that they're going to lose certain antennas. And the one guy's like,
that's right.
He's like, well, it doesn't matter. We can't even like send anything home anyway. So it's not important. But that leads to a chain reaction that then kills their oxygen, which is super obviously important. It kills their oxygen bank.
Yeah.
And then that's the whole thing, is that they really have to go to Icarus 1. Because they're really fucked. It just shows you how like impossible space is.
So there's like a chain reaction, and then there's an explosion that separates the 2 ships, and the people on the first ship have to basically jump through space to the other ship.
Yeah, they decide that they're going to blow the blast doors, which will then shoot them straight out, which will give them that projection angle. So they line the ships up. So basically, they get on the Icarus 2 or 1 rather, and they find that there's dust everywhere. They find, like you talked about earlier, the self-sacrifice ritual or whatever, like the Jonestown massacre kind of thing, but with light. But they also find that the plants, their oxygen garden has been like growing
Yeah.
this entire time. So
plants have been growing unchecked.
So really what they would have to do is they would have to, like, before the ship gets, for some reason, and at this point in the movie, you don't know why the ships became undocked, but something happened and undocked the ships. And now the docking mechanism's completely fucked. So that's why they have to blast each other. And this is where we have to say goodbye to Searle, who's I do like his character a lot.
Yeah, and the second command too, Harvey. His death is terrifying.
He's
kind of a douche.
He's kind of a douche. He's I don't know how he is second command, and I don't know kind of how he's on that ship. I guess you kind of need a character like that because you don't know what you're going to be like under pressure. Maybe on Earth he was like all his credentials and shit, and he seemed like a good captain. But once he's actually in the shit, he is like,
oh yeah, he's
freaking.
He is not taking the pressure well,
and I don't blame him.
So you had the captain Kaneda, who's very stoic and very logical, and did very well under pressure, and then he dies, and you go to the second command, Harvey, who's, I don't know, I don't think he has a redeeming scene in the movie. Every scene he's in makes him look like
worse,
terrible character. So there's the scene where the four of them are realizing they have to jump through space to the other ship, and they're suiting up Kappa
because he's the number one priority, because he's the only one who fully understands the bomb, and which is the most important thing.
Well, and Mace, who hates him, is saying this. He's saying, the rest of us are expendable. We got to get Kappa over to the other ship.
Yeah, because Mace is Captain America, Steve Rogers. He's the man.
Yeah, but Harvey jumps in and says, what about me? I'm not expendable. And he just starts flipping out. I order you to take that suit off.
Yeah. But Mace is the one who comes up with the idea of ripping off all the insulation of the ship, and then they also realize, oh shit, there's no power left,
and one of them's got to stay there and operate.
One of them has to stay there. So Searle knows that he's the most expendable.
Yeah.
He opens the blast door for them, wishes them luck, and he sits down and waits in the observation deck for the
ship to pass
over, because it's blocking the thing. So,
and as soon as he is out of the shadow of that ship, he's going to be hit with full sunlight and just burned to a crisp.
Yeah. And
he has a good death, and his death is foreshadowed as well by the fact that he keeps getting more and more burned.
Very nice.
I mean, he drew inspiration from the obvious sources. 2001 Alien.
Well, they even tease about Alien. What do you worry about? Some alien picking us off one by one?
Yeah.
So
Harvey also dies in that scene because
they get blasted off and they immediately hit something.
Yeah. So he goes off in a wild direction and just dies. And they show him take his last breath. He exhales, it turns instantly to ice crystals, and then his whole face just like absolute zero.
I fucking love that super wide shot of his body going right past the heat shields and then instantly just like shoots into a spark and is just gone forever.
Well, first his arm hits something and it shatters.
Oh yeah. Ugh.
And there's like all these red crystals. And then that wide shot where there's just a little flash of light and he's, oh man.
It's so cool. I mean, that
there's a close-up of his eyes there too, his frozen eyeballs.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yes, like an ultra crazy hyper close-up.
So Chris Evans' character Mace does survive the jump, but he gets he gets frostbite on his hand, basically, foreshadowing his death.
Yeah, That's a great. I love that scene where Kappa just grabs onto him and does like a like just like one last grab. I mean, that suit must be really hard to move around in.
Yeah,
Well, they do show that later.
they have a tumble like in when he's trying to get up in that one scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, they kind of tumble around for a bit, and yeah, Kappa takes Mace and just whips him in.
Yeah, he looks for Harvey, right? But
and Harvey's gone.
he's like, yep, well, he's fucked.
He's out.
And he's a douchebag. See you, homie.
So we got 2 deaths there.
And the whole thing that is kind of Michelle Yeoh brings up earlier before they dock that like, hey, like, even if you guys all make it back or whatever, like we don't have enough oxygen for however many people. They need 4 people.
She's the biologist. Yeah, they figure they only have so much oxygen, and
So
two of them have to die, basically.
Right. And now we're getting really close to the reveal of the big twist of the movie.
That's kind of the third act. That introduces the third act. So when they
get
back,
back on the ship, the Wong is completely sedated.
So Benedict Wong blames himself for everything, and he gets put on suicide risk, and they just keep him sedated the entire time.
Yeah, where they say sleep for 23 hours and can barely move or do anything.
He does manage to kill himself, though.
Well, that is a little bit of foreshadowing in that scene, because they take a vote on what they have to kill him. Wong needs to be gone for them to have enough oxygen.
Right.
And Chris Evans like, I will do it. And Captain America is going to go down there and he's going to slit some wrists. When he gets there, there's a scene though, before he decides he gets one of the scalpels, the future scalpels.
Right.
And when he opens the drawer, there's 2 missing.
Right.
One, Trey.
His character's name is Trey.
Yeah, Trey. Trey has taken one and he's already offed himself in the holodeck. And
the other one,
yeah,
presumably Pindecker had.
Yeah.
But I was that whole, every time you see him, it's hard to kind of take in what's happening. You get a sense of disorientation. Yeah, so act 3 is kind of 3 concurrent plots. You have the reveal that Pindecker is still alive, who was the captain on Icarus 1.
Which is a really good I love that reveal where Kappa is like what mother, or I want to say mother because that's for the aliens. Yeah. But Icarus is like, hey, you're dying. He's like, yeah, I know, we're all dying. Yeah. And he's like, no, you're not going to make it to your destination for the payload drop off. There's still 5 people here or whatever.
Right.
And you're like, then that's like, whoa, wait, what the fuck is going on? And well, where is this 5th person? Oh, they're in the observation room, and he's like doing push-ups.
Yeah, his first stop is to stop in the observation deck where he
gets a little sun tanning in.
I like that the AI have told them though earlier. I know it's a cool dramatic reveal, but wouldn't the AI be like, hey, there's another human in here that's not one of you?
Yeah, like they could have got like the history of, if they know where everybody is with one of those, because they have like a necklace, like they have like this, like a keychain thing on around their neck with this little voice box to talk to the ship. Right. That's kind of set up right away. Yeah.
But at one point the AI says there's a crew member here or something. So she can sense them, or the ship can sense where they are.
Yeah.
Right. Or
the ship knows where it is through whatever sensors or cameras or whatever.
But so wouldn't she have seen Pindecker come in? Because presumably Pindecker came and then he blew the hatch, right? He entered.
Right. Because they
the AI didn't say anything though.
Chris Evans, right? Yes.
Maybe
And
she just thought it was one of them. I don't know. I'm sure there's some sciencey explanation, but
I guess that doesn't really bother me too much because I think that reveal is so cool.
it is a cool reveal. I'll give you that. It's dramatically the way it plays out is spot on, but it creates
Because
this
you're
sort of
already questioning
logical loop that
there's a scene that makes you question, like, wait, what the fuck's going on? It's like we were like the two of us. They're like basically coming to the conclusion that it had to have been Trey. Like logically, it makes no other sense.
yeah,
There's no one is left alive besides the four of us, and Trey, or there's five of us that are left alive, and Trey. We were on the other ship. You guys were in the captain or like the cockpit, and Trey is sedated. Like, but it must have been Trey somehow because no one's watching him. So there's no.
well, yeah. At
Again,
that point,
yeah, you would
we
have think that
sense
like
yeah.
you should have like, okay, let's run back through the security cameras or something.
Yeah. So it is a cool dramatic
Oh, there's a
reveal.
naked
Oh, he was
Freddy
naked.
Krueger guy running around.
Naked Freddy Krueger.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a reveal. Again, the logic and science of that we're not quite sure about, but Pindecker, the captain,
It works
of
for me.
Icarus, is still alive, and it's. I think at the very end, it's revealed his motivation is that he's basically Church of the Sun now. Like the whole crew had this religious experience, and they decided they were gonna commit ritual suicide. And then when he survived, he took it as a sign.
Now, did you? Oh, you think that?
Well, he says
See,
he
I. Oh,
talked to
okay.
God for 7 years, and
Well,
he told me to kill all of mankind.
I got the I don't know, like that is left open for interpretation. They are all sitting there looking like all the bodies
Yeah,
of the other crew are in the observation deck. But did he trick them and like brought them in there and then like just turned it up really high and they were like just instantly killed in that position that they were hanging out in? Or were they like,
maybe.
or did he convince all of them of his crazy religion? You know what I mean?
The bodies seem to be set up in kind of a ritualistic manner.
They are peaceful. They are just sitting on the bench together.
Yeah, they're not.
The one has like its head down on the guy's, the other one's shoulder.
Yeah, they seem kind of like they were kind of chill when they died.
Yeah.
At least from the position of the bodies. But I don't know. I kind of got the impression that I don't know how he would have survived. I mean, he's horribly burned. So he survived 7 years up there somehow. Like,
Is he just horribly burned? Well, you do see him in a video clip where he still has hair, but you can tell he's pretty burned up.
well, obviously just being there for 7 years. Like, I don't know. I mean, his ship has not been working for 7 years, but he's been still living there and somehow protected.
Well, the power is off, but the oxygen works. They just don't have like. So he's just been eating like carrots and doing push-ups. That's why he's so ripped.
So, well, anyway,
I do
sets up a dramatic. There's
yeah,
Act
and they
3.
do like we've kind of been bringing up though. They do this really cool effect with him for the villain effect.
Yeah, every time he's on camera, like he's emitting some kind of radiation. And it's interfering with the camera. Like that, I think, is the effect we're supposed to get. Right? That's
Yeah,
he's so irradiated that he's messing with the equipment. Is that what you got, or is that just a style of like we're going to shoot the villain this way?
I do. I think that you are correct in like coming at it from a logic sense, where like to explain that too. But it is. I think it is a stylish thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm sure if Danny
to...
Boyle were to break it down, it'd probably be something around that.
But yeah, it's this really interesting stylistic choice to never get a good look at the villain. Like we see that he's horribly burned. Every time he's on camera, it's like this weird double lens effect or mirror
don't really
effect.
know how they did it. It's cool. It's awesome though. And
Almost like
with
pointing
with
the camera through a prism or something. Like, I don't know. It had that effect of like
there's
you're
a lot of
looking at it
heightened,
through glass or something.
yeah, and there's heightened sound effects throughout the whole movie. Like they might have the sound effect for like somebody's like a blink.
Yeah. I love the sound design in this.
The sound design's fantastic, but the sound design, there's also corresponding sound design for the villain along with the visuals.
Oh, when it's the shaky camera effect. Yeah, you hear like a high pitched humming, I guess, or
Yeah, I can't. Yeah,
like an electromagnetic field, maybe.
Yeah.
Or that's I don't know. That's kind of the impression I got that they were trying to sell, like this idea.
yeah. I think it's cool. I like it a lot.
So we get the three. So that we get him in the plot where he kills Michelle Yeoh. Well, Michelle Yeoh goes in and finds one plant still alive, and she's like kind of cradling it, but then Pindecker comes in and kills her.
The old
And
scalpel
then
in the spine.
yeah, oh yeah, the scalpel reappears there. So, and then there's the scene which some people thought was too similar to a horror film where Pindecker chases Rose Byrne's character. It was
And then she
hard
goes.
to,
and
it's hard to
that's-
see what was happening in that
Yeah,
scene.
that whole scene is maybe that scene and when the bomb departs from the rest of the ship is very the geography is lost on me. I have like a hard time of like, wait, where are they? What's going on? It's
Yeah, there's a lot of kind of strobe effects where Pindecker kind of sabotages the ships. He shuts the coolant down. Basically where Mace has to go in and fix the ship
yeah.
by like going underwater and essentially freezing to death. There's a lot of cool deaths in this. Like there's a good variety of deaths for
Really
the different.
good cold acting by Chris Evans.
I guess it was real though. I guess like his when they were shooting it, like they kept the temperature at like freezing.
That makes sense. Like, make it as real as possible.
Like you can see his breath there. And
he basically has to go underneath where these.
But he's got to go into this freezing liquid and reset the whatever.
He also motivates
Kappa, yeah.
Kappa to. He's like, whatever you have to get out of there, whatever you have to do, get the bomb.
Yeah.
Off.
So basically all the characters sacrificing themselves just to get the payload in. Like they're singularly focused. Yeah, the climax of the film involves.
So Kappa just makes it onto the ship.
Yeah, he separates like when they get close enough to the sun to release the payload.
Yeah, well, that was the thing. I was like, he's at the open door as those giant rockets blast.
Yeah.
I know he's in that special spacesuit and all, but yeah, it does get a little bit further and further away. But again, they do bring up at the beginning of the movie with that simulation that the closer you get to the sun, the like more weird it was going to be, which is a fun.
No,
sci-fi.
I like that.
That's a fun sci-fi thing. Yeah.
Well, there's definitely moments where I'm suspending disbelief way more than that. That's a fun conceit to make. Like the idea that the sun's radiation would just cook your brain. Basically, you get too close to the sun, you start to go mad.
Well, they're saying that it's like more like the magnetic field, like where time and space are like wrapping in on each other and stuff.
And I think the filmmaking is like supported.
It's really cool. The freeze frames they're doing and the sound design. I mean, this would have been one hell of a movie trying to edit this fucking thing. Jesus Christ.
When they were freeze frames, for a second I thought something went wrong with my stream, like my internet went out or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, the climax of the film takes place on the bomb, basically.
Yeah, they're basically literally on the bomb. This is where it gets really. I could see where this could be like losing people by now.
Movie logic-y.
Yeah.
Because there's a fight scene with Pindecker.
It looks awesome though. I think it looks so cool. There's this great shot of the bombs like completely released, and it's just like this massive cube, and it's just spiraling well, end over end rapidly into the sun, and it looks so cool.
Yeah, I think the whole film looks great.
They just came up with so many clever, cool compositions for like things falling in space.
There's a lot of that happening.
And
Filling the frame with like
there's a wild shot that's sort of like it starts upside down and then it's spinning and it's almost like the lens like changes halfway through or something, and
oh yeah.
it becomes this vertical shot of Kappa as he musters up enough strength to run into the actual control room of the bomb to set it off, which
Yeah, like
is
at
kind
this
of confusing.
yeah, at this point in the movie, the filmmaking has gotten so wild, like the shots and the
Crazy Dutch
the lens
angles.
tricks, and that you're just you do get disoriented, you know, and I can see people like leaving totally confused by what just happened in the third act, because I mean, which makes sense for the movie. I mean, I you know, it's sort of the reflection of what their mental state is visually, which, you know, I think works. Like they're disoriented, so
Well, if anything's going to fuck up a mission like this, it's going to be religion.
yeah, there is like definitely a Jason Voorhees quality to Pindecker at this point, because he survives a bunch of stuff and he's like, yeah. So I can see where people thought it was turned into a horror film in the third act.
Well, I mean, just imagine like we're, just everybody going a little bit crazy after a year of quarantine. Imagine 7 years hurtling directly towards the sun with like that responsibility on your shoulders.
So then I guess the last thing we see is the
His sister.
Sydney Opera House, and
Yeah.
the sun lights back up, and
It's a nice,
they did it.
hopeful little moment. Yeah. It does just set the tone for like the modern era space film, like what it can look like and how the camera moves in space and the logics that's used and the compositions and the cool wide shots of things floating through space. It just nails all that stuff so well that it's probably going to be copied for the next
yeah, I feel
20
like
years.
I feel like J.J. Abrams totally plagiarized it. Yeah, good. Sunshine, 2007, Danny Boyle. Check it out. All right, now it's time for a segment that we call "What Are You Watching?"
So I just today watched Project Power, which is a Netflix original movie that came out in 2020 with starring Jamie Foxx and Joseph Gordon-Levitt. And basically, there's these pills you can take that give you superpowers for 5 minutes, and I found it pretty good. Like I had just tried to watch the Snyder Cut.
Oh,
because everybody's like, I got like 15 minutes in. It's the worst fucking thing I've ever seen. It's so stupid. I couldn't even watch
4
it.
hours long. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. I was 15 minutes into it. Wonder Woman was blocking a bunch of bullets. It was so bad. The action it was just so meaningless. Anyways, comparatively to that, like I was in on this movie pretty much right away. It's not perfect in any way. But it's very watchable. And
so it's a movie.
Yeah, Netflix original
Netflix movie.
Yeah. Yeah, Joseph Gordon-Levitt's good. Jamie Foxx is great. There's a girl in it she's also in Judas and the Black Messiah, which just came out, which was great as well. I forget her name, but she's in it. She's the like young girl that kind of gets caught up in all this stuff. But yeah, if you're looking for something to watch on Netflix, cool. It's a lot fucking better than 4 hours of trash Snyder Cut.
I watched also something on Netflix, a documentary, The Last Blockbuster.
Oh, I saw that. What? Yeah, what? How was it?
I liked it. It had a lot of heart. I guess there's one left, and they're all gone except for the one in Bend, Oregon. And you follow the kind of the family. It's kind of a family-run business thing, and it's kind of like a tourist destination now. Like when it made news as being the last one open, I guess Stephen Colbert sent him a bunch of like movie memorabilia. So they have
Yeah.
like they have a bunch of props and costumes in like glass, and people go there and get selfies, and there's some really corny jokes. Like you know how the editors will throw in jokes, dad jokes, like as
Yeah.
edit jokes, like somebody's corny dad is editing this thing. I don't know. And there's a couple of really awful music cues that I just like rolled my eyes so hard at.
Yeah.
But it's overall it's good. There's cool people being interviewed. Paul Scheer is interviewed, and
I
Kevin
do like
Smith.
Paul Scheer.
Yeah, I remember when there was one in Edinburgh. Remember, like up by Walmart.
Yeah.
There.
Oh, is that by Walmart? Oh yeah. Oh,
There's one
Lucas
there.
worked at it.
Yeah. That's like a rite of passage, right? To work at a video store. Well, not anymore. I don't know what the kids are going to do now. Just work at Walmart, I guess. No. Well, all right. Catch us on Instagram. My name's Brad Patello at Brad Patello. Gus, Mr. Trouth.
Yeah, no periods, just MRTRUTH.
MR Trouth. Well, we'll see you next week. Thanks.
Yeah, another high energy episode. See you guys.